do believe we're live, and welcome to Masculine Geek number 226. This is the Fireside Chats. This is Wednesday, one of the best weeks, one of the best weeks, one of the best days of the week, and one of the best shows on the internet. This is the last day of May. Tomorrow is June 1st. And here's to the end of May, gentlemen. Take a drink. Welcome to the show, Robert, Drew, and Paul from Come On Man Podcast. We have a few other people that may or may not show up, but we're going to keep this one brief. We all have shit
and
to
not
do.
TJ brief,
and not yes, not good old TJ, not TJ brief. TJ brief. He may or may not show up. We'll see.
Maybe he's busy studying his player's handbook.
He's training bitches tonight.
Highly doubtful. What's up, Mictibus? Thanks for being here. One of our original Masculine Geek members from the very beginning, actually. He may or may not have been here from episode 1. I'm not sure. Mictibus can correct me on that. Sure, Drew. We're going to take care of business. What's up, Blake? We did start on time.
Because we weren't waiting for Rollo or TJ.
We're not waiting for slackers. Not that I have to wait for them, but for the D&D, I kind of do, because Rollo runs the game as far as Rollo's game is concerned, his campaign. But Fireside Chats, I don't have to wait for anybody. So yes, I I grew up in a household where being on time meant you were late. I have a very good work ethic and a very good time ethic. For some people, that's like, oh, you must be a pain in the ass. Well, whatever. Fuck off. If I say I'm going to be,
you literally are, and have the
yeah. If I'm going to, I am a pain in the ass. But if I say I'm going to be somewhere at a certain time, I show up early, always.
When we were growing up, similar situation. If we were not going to be like an hour early going to family stuff, my mother would practically have a panic attack. Yeah. And if anybody was late for anything, they ruined it. And by late, if they were not there several minutes ahead of time at least. So,
holy shit! You were no, you're totally correct, Drew. Mictibus was in the very first year, which was January of 2019. So we are working on 5 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. Slow but steady.
Going back to the being late thing, my mom was always chronically fucking late.
Oh yeah,
mine too.
She was, and we lived up in we lived up in the foothills, right? And my mom worked down in Denver, and she would be able to get from the foothills down into Denver in like 20 minutes because she would just haul ass, but she would get speeding tickets all the time because she was always running late, just chronically late. So I didn't learn how to be somewhat punctual until the military.
Was she also someone that could never find her car keys?
No, I don't think she had a problem there, but she would also like keep like her whole life in her purse. She had like she never just carried like a over the shoulder like little purse either. It was always like a giant fucking duffel bag, just full of shit in it. It was crazy.
I believe it. That's pretty
amazing how much shit they managed to fit in there. But it seems like mostly bullshit, superficial.
Speaking of superficial space wasting shit. Here's Nick. No, you're right. Now I don't know the cultural fashion history of this, but when did a purse become like a thing for women? Like at what point? Because in old Victorian photos, you never really saw that, did you? Maybe a parasol or some shit. Yeah, Paul, look that up.
Yeah,
that's interesting. When would it have become a fashion accessory as opposed to simply a utilitarian?
I could see like for children, you had to carry shit when you're out and about. Maybe if you didn't have a pram or a stroller or some stupid shit.
Says first modern day purse was envisioned in 1841.
1841. Okay. When did
Yeah.
it become popular, though?
Mm.
That's my question. Because
Holy shit.
those kind of things are sometimes slow to take off.
I'm surprised it took that long. Wouldn't people have some sort of bags or satchels or things that they used a lot
1930s.
earlier?
It said 1930s.
So it was birthed, as it were, in the early 1800s, mid 1800s, and then didn't become a thing until the mid 1900s.
Almost 100 years later. Yeah.
Holy shit! Okay, Nick, how you doing?
I don't know, man. What kind of gay fashion show live stream did I stumble into?
Well, we were talking about women. Paul's mom being late for everything, and then I don't know how. I honestly don't remember how the purse thing came about.
Okay.
Oh,
So.
because you were asking if she lost her keys
Oh,
all the
if she
time,
lost
and I
her
was
key-
like,
yeah.
and I was like, I don't know. She always kept things in her purse, and her purse was always like fucking. She's a pack rat, you know, like she's one of those people. She's a total hoarder, and so that translates to everything in their life, you know.
That's true. I have a
She knows
theory
what
too
it
with
is.
guys. The larger the thicker the larger the wallet. You know, those fucking dorks with like a wallet where they sit down and they're listing like a 30-degree to port because it's fucking huge. The larger the wallet, the bigger the nerd. I think.
What do you fucking need other than a couple cards and ID and a
That's
Fresno
all I
lens
have.
for starting fires?
Exactly. My wallet is razor thin.
Some of us still use cash.
even with cash, Nick. I mean, it's not going to be
Big bills.
exactly. You got to impress everybody.
Well,
all those $5 bills that you carry, Nick, are probably.
I never carry anything smaller than a 50.
$20 is not $20.
He's got a fat stack of singles for the strip clubs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he puts 100 on top. Yeah.
Right.
I always bring silver dollars to the strip club.
Silver dollars.
If you know, you know.
Wait, yeah, there you go. Nice. Cool. How's everyone doing? Is everyone doing all right?
Awesome. Just fucking awesome.
Fantastic. All right, that's the show.
There we go.
Except Jones in for some D&D.
Well, you were supposed to run a game tonight, you son of a
I
bitch.
know. And I know no rants because we're only going for a certain amount of time, but
Yeah, no ranting.
my head is swimming with ideas for the stuff. I just haven't had time to sit down and put it together because I've been getting everything together for the summer fat loss thing that I'm doing. And it's just been, I launch it tomorrow and I got to wake up early in the morning just to finish a bunch of shit to have it up by afternoon for it. So I've just been excited for it because membership is just going nuts, but at the same time, just stressing to get everything done.
Well, that makes sense. No, that's understandable.
Jones in for some D&D though.
Well, next Wednesday. Definitely doing it. No, Blake, you're not a nerd. You are a geek. You're a masculine geek, not a nerd.
It's a difference.
There is a huge difference. My brother used to keep movie stubs, ticket stubs of all the movies over the years, and his wallet was like this. And I remember one day we were in my parents' backyard and he was showing it off, and his girlfriend at the time slapped it out of his hand. And all these movie stub tickets just fluttering everywhere. It's fucking phenomenal. Like,
Why wouldn't he put those in an album if he wanted to?
He's a huge asshole besides the point, so there's that.
Okay.
If you're watching this, yes, you're a huge asshole. But anyway, so there's that. Nick, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
All right, fantastic. Good talking to you.
I like that toy still set of yours. That would be nice, Nick.
The what?
The toy still. The toy still set.
The thing that you
Twitter.
the advertisement that Robert
Yeah.
tweeted out. It comes with a special hard eat banjo.
No, none of my stills are toys. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. As soon
Well,
as I
speaking
saw
of
that-
drink, what are you drinking tonight?
Not that I have any. Huh? This is water.
In a
You
can?
sure it's not moonshine?
It's seltzer water.
Oh, seltzer water is good for you. Yeah. Fantastic.
I don't consume alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, we know that's a lie. Fucking piece
I
of
only make it. I don't drink it.
shit. Oh, you make it and sell it. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Never get high on your own supply kind of thing.
Mm. That's not a ringing endorsement for your own product, though. Not only a hair club member, you're also the owner.
I dated a chick once whose father had been a revenuer in North Alabama and Tennessee.
Oh,
yeah?
And he actually, it was in the 60s, and he actually did some raids on some stills.
Well, there's only one
telling me about
reason
that.
for that. And we all know that because these guys were purchasing the bottles of market product, but not buying a second round of market product, taking their own version of their own shit and putting it in the bottle of the product. So that's the government didn't like that. They felt that was, only they can lie, steal, and cheat, not you. Cheat and steal, not you.
Well, there was some of that going on, but don't forget, like, moonshine, when it, the reason, like bourbon, the reason it's dark is because it's aged in barrels and it picks up the color of the tannins and shit in the wood. But, when whiskey comes out of the still, it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
And
Could add some color to that.
And so they weren't, so it wasn't always that. It was, a lot of it was just, if you're making your own moonshine and selling it, then the government's still getting cheated out of its cut from, the taxes when you buy a bottle.
Well, the taxes, what I mean too is the the alcohol producers were also funding the revenue agents.
The insane thing is
Lobby.
that the government thinks they should be getting a cut out of any of this.
Correct.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that's the issue at hand, is it not?
If more people had just disappeared, all of the revenue agents early on, we might not have a lot of the problems that we did now.
Correct.
That's an interesting thought.
You always see people online making jokes about losing their guns in the boating accident.
Mm-hmm.
People should be joking about losing ATF agents in boating accidents instead.
They probably do.
Well,
Well, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's for the.
This is live on the internet right now.
Yeah, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
That's for the off. That's for the off-stream, offline version.
I'll just say that the most polite way I can put it is anybody that is involved in enforcing any of these laws, if they had any integrity, would quit and find honest work instead.
Here.
Agreed.
That's probably the most peaceful way to put it.
Indeed. So, Paul, how's your course going? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's actually going pretty good. Thor actually had me on his. He has a private group called the Dragon Ship, and he had me on earlier this month to go through one of the modules of it. And so, with his private group, we went through the modules of it. It's like have you ever watched the movie The Secret?
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of people that watch that and they're like, man, that's chick crack. That's total chick crack. It's positivity grift. It's, woo-woo magic and chakras and stuff. And, but the thing about it is, like, I've read a lot of books on it, and if you really distill it down, what you're really doing is, it's all psychology. It's all, reprogramming your subconscious mind. And so from that perspective, I wanted to explain it and what it is, and then give people tools to basically reprogram their subconscious, change their mindset about things, because, a lot of our results come from the way we think about things, So that's how I revamped that course to explain it from that perspective. And, I had this guy who, oddly enough, his name is Guy.
Guy Smiley.
His name's Guy Gustafson. And
That's kind of a cool name.
Guy and I, we've had these discussions back and forth about law of attraction for going on 2 years. And he would always argue with me about it. Like, man, dude, that's all bullshit. It's all, whatever. And so I let him audit the course. I was like, just take it for free, man. Just take it. He went through it and he was like, holy crap, man. He's like, I couldn't finish watching The Secret because I couldn't stomach it. It's just it's too out there. And he's like, but the way you broke it down just really makes a lot of sense and stuff. So yeah, I think I'm getting a lot of good responses from it.
Okay. Cool. Is it capped at a certain amount of members, or do you just allow anyone that
I allow anyone to take it anytime. I don't put any time restrictions on it. A lot of that is sort of a sales tactic, I think. But periodically I'll put out coupon codes for it. In fact, today's the last day. So I've been giving it away for $100 off all month. With code May Mindset. So today's actually the last day for that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Depending on how much time you spend interacting with everybody, if you're doing, Q&As or lives, you got to limit the numbers. There's only so many hours in a day. So if you got something like a course where it's just like, here's the material.
That's how it is. Yeah.
That's a lot more time efficient.
Yeah. And the reason why I did that too was because Cappy talked me into it. Honestly, yeah. When we were out hiking, and he gets his phone starts dinging, right? And he's all huffing along, and he pulls his phone out, and he goes, "Hey, I just made $1,000 right now while we're out hiking."
Really?
I was like,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he sold two things of courses right then, and and so I was like, "Oh, is that something that you recommend doing? Making a course?" And he's like, "Oh, you got to make a course. You got to make a course. It's the most bang for your buck, time efficient way to, do something around here." And I was like, oh, "Okay." So then I started, thinking, what could I do a course on that most people aren't doing courses on in this space? And so started with that one because I thought, if people could just master that and just change their mindset about certain things, they'll have much better results no matter where they want to go, And so that's why I decided to do that course first. Okay. Top of the funnel, Paul. That's right, Chess.
Hey, Chess.
Mindset is huge. If you get a mindset that's self-defeatist, like, oh, I can't do anything. Oh, woe is me. All the bad shit happen. And this is the thing, people blaming everything and everybody else for all the shit that's going on instead of saying, these are the circumstances I have, but I'm going to do the best that I possibly can with the hand that I've been dealt. Huge difference. And you can probably relate to this because you probably get people that talk like this about different issues that you help them with. But I could almost always tell from the way a new client answered one question whether they were going to be successful or not. Oh, yeah? So whenever I would work with people who came to me to lose fat, one of the questions I would ask is, have you always been overweight? And if they said no, okay, well, when was the last time that you were happy with the condition you're in? Oh, well, it's this time. What changed? Because I want to know what they've been doing differently so I know what habits we need to work on. And when I asked them what changed or what caused you to gain the extra fat, there were as many different answers as people, but there were two different kinds. You had one group of people who said, well, I started doing this, and I started doing this, and I started doing this, and because of these things that I was doing, I started putting on fat. And I okay, I'm going to be able to help this person. And then we had people who say, well, this happened to me, and then that happened, and then this other thing came up, and I started putting on weight. They never phrased it in a way that indicated that they understood it was their actions and behaviors. And when you understand that you are responsible for the situation that you're in, you also appreciate that you're the one that can make the changes. But now there were exceptions, but in almost every single instance, the people who answered the question in a way that indicated that they accepted responsibility for where they were did fucking awesome. And the ones who didn't, they made excuses for why they got fat. And then the entire time they made excuses for why they would not follow the instructions. They would not do any of the things that I told them they needed to do. Oh, well, I can't because of this. I can't be fucking bullshit. They just didn't want to badly.
Yeah, always just completely looking for an excuse not to do work.
Mindset.
And Chess is right. It falls under that. This comes out of the human potential movement of the 60s and 70s and 80s, and well now into the aughts. It's not what you say; it's how you say it. And women and mangina males are more concerned with that, and that's one of the problems we have. I know what you say; it's how you say it.
I don't
just
even
like fuck that.
market
Just
to
give me the
women.
goddamn information.
Anytime I do any advertisement, if I do like through Twitter or Instagram or whatever, always just men. I don't even market anything to women.
Do you still get women coming to you for help?
I still do, but like 1%, because almost all my marketing is geared towards men because I just don't want to.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's a lot more. It's just more hassle. It's just more hassle. I've had some female clients that I worked with who were just great, but they were the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah, they're the ones that are actually a joy to work with, I'm sure.
And you know what? Every single one of them, now that I can think, all the women that I worked with who were just great were either like lawyers or doctors or psychologists, or they were really
They had a good handle on logical reasoning.
athletes who were
Yeah.
doing really well in whatever sport or activity they were. They were all really driven and excelled in whatever it was, the other stuff that they were doing.
Very much
So-
in a masculine realm. That therein lies the crux of it. It's just like, well, it's all these masculine traits that you're exhibiting are actually helping you.
Taking responsibility for the consequences of their actions and acting accordingly.
Yeah, so true.
That's a big thing that people just don't have, the lack of self accountability, and which is, it's really funny because in this space everyone's always talking about holding the whammon accountable, but they don't ever hold themselves accountable. What are you
Correct.
doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to start. If you cannot be responsible and do the things that you know that you need to do, you can't expect that of others.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
Correct. No, that's very true. Nick, you look like you're intent on something, like you're writing a letter to a sick relative.
I'm just taking notes of
You're taking notes of
all this knowledge y'all are dumping,
all these free gems.
all this
Exactly.
411 that y'all are
And-
dropping.
It's completely free, and we're not going to test you at the end of it, but you can have it. You can make a
man.
course. We give you permission to.
no.
What's funny about the course thing too is so when Clary told me to do that, I was like, well, what platform should I do it on? There's so many different platforms out there. He uses Teachable,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing is there's the running gag about Gumroad courses, and I was like, well, let me check out Gumroad. Like, what's the problem with Gumroad? And
Is
it
there a
really
problem
is
with Gumroad?
it's just the connotation because of all the the Twitter grifters
Well, I
out there
think
using
not,
it.
there's-
not only that. I think it has to do with the fucking name.
It's kind of a
I
stupid
don't-
name,
It's
yeah,
kind
but
of
it
it's
is.
a dumbass fucking name.
There's a lot of goofballs that use it. So unfortunately, and good point, the connotation. When I think Gumroad course, I think of all of the grifters and all of the people in MySpace, the fitness. I shouldn't say MySpace. In
Yeah, Teachable has a bit
all
of
the
cachet to it.
fitness people that make Gumroad courses, and most of it is
Crap.
it's goofy it's complete goofy bullshit. That anybody who actually
Gumroad is goofy bullshit.
It's goofy bullshit. I see courses that are being marketed, and I'm not going to name names. I know some of these people, and I think there's
a few people have Gumroad
know.
courses that are solid though.
Well, but I think some of the people that are making some of these goofy bullshit courses know that they're making goofy bullshit
Well, it's cheaper
courses.
on Gumroad.
But
costs
they're
nothing.
making them anyways because they sell. Because there's unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't know any better and buy this shit up. But I wouldn't do a Gumroad course. Nothing against them. Maybe it's a great platform, but it's just because the association with some of the other fitness people that are doing that I would not. I would not want to. I would not throw in with them on any kind of a course project.
It's funny you say that, because I do that crypto basics course about 4 times a year,
which is very good, by the way. I do endorse that.
Well, I'm signing up for the next and last one right now. I won't be teaching it live anymore. I'm in the process of putting that on video and putting it on Teachable, and I'll probably put it on Gumroad, and I'll put it everywhere else too.
You should.
And because I'm just tired of just doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, you might as well just let it roll along.
But I found, I've been doing my research though. I found, I mean, I'm the same way. I when I hear Teachable, I prefer that because that just sounds more
to it. It's got
business-like.
But
in actually digging through everything, I found a lot of good shit on Gumroad, and I found a lot of dumb shit on Teachable. It's all perception. It's all perception.
Yeah, I think I ended up going with Gumroad because Thor has all of his courses on Gumroad.
Okay.
And
Thor, doesn't Troy Francis too?
Troy does too. So
Troy's
does,
solid.
Yeah, so does John Fitch, and
We
so
know
does Jack Napier. Yeah.
Dame just talked about the yellow Gumroad to prosperity or whatever. That's one of the things I don't like about Gumroad, because when I hear Gumroad, I think a road made of gumdrops or something. It's like it's a Wizard of Oz. It's a Wizard of Oz
thing.
It's a Wizard of Oz kind of connotation to it, which is not good.
Imagining munchkins.
Well, you do have one dwarf on your show.
Flying monkeys.
Yeah, but he's a murder dwarf, so it's okay.
That's what it's still fall the old.
It's not my. It's actually his show. It's the Murder Dwarfs show. I simply serve. I simply serve at his pleasure.
You work with a dwarf?
We'll leave that one alone. That's just a lot of jokes there, but I'll let you have that. I'll give you some respite.
I was trying to toss you a softball because you have such a hard time being funny, but
wow, touche.
I'm trying to work with you here, man.
We do have some funny banter back and forth on Twitter, for sure.
What are you guys talking about tomorrow night on Let 'Em Burn?
Being gay as usual.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
well, the topic's always something, but you guys always never talk about.
Well, according to Mictubus, it's the same damn shit every week.
Well, according to Mictubus, we've been having the same conversation for 3.5 years now, which is not inaccurate, by the way.
That is
every time
that I've dropped in, it's pretty much the same thing.
In South Alabama, it's Mictubus. I don't know what it is where the rest of y'all are, but we always, whatever the topic is, we'll hit the topic for about 5 minutes, for 3 to 5 minutes, because there's always something better to talk about than whatever the topic is.
It's funny because I saw Ryan's post. It's like whenever I drop in, it's always Rob. Rob saying, "Oh, Ryan made a post and he takes a sip of Bud Light and goes off on a rant about retards for 20 minutes." Rob is like the. I hesitate to use. I'm going to say just this space is Mr. Mackey. Black pill's bad, okay? Did
I tell you I knew the real Mr. Mackey?
That sounds familiar. Wasn't it like at your high school or something?
He was actually, it's based off of a guy named Mr. Lackey, and he was our junior high counselor.
Oh shit! Wait, were
Yeah.
you in? Did you like go to South Park?
So yeah, so that show's based off of the area between Evergreen and Fairplay in
Oh,
Colorado, and I went and
fun.
I grew up in Conifer, which is a part of that. And Trey Parker grew up in that area. He
fuck.
grew up on my mountain that I lived on.
You're not a character, are you?
No,
Okay.
he's like 9 years older than me, but
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I mean, Mr. Lackey was a real guy, and
Oh
it's
my
funny.
God,
I
that's
did
hysterical.
I did a TikTok about it and actually went completely viral. And
That's
someone was
awesome.
like, so they're like, "Do you have a picture of him?" I was like, "Actually, yeah." And I pulled out a yearbook, and did
it look like him?
Oh, dude, spitting image, dude. I'll send
Shit,
you
that's
that
awesome.
video. Yeah, I'll send you that video. sometime. Yeah, in fact, actually, there's an interview, if you look it up on YouTube, of Trey Parker saying that it is based off of that guy. And I think Mr. Lackey's passed away now because he was
sucks.
ancient when I was in junior high. So yeah.
Paul inspired Butters.
Shit, I might have. I don't know.
James, we have a half hour left. Do you want in? Let me
Hey.
know. I'll send you the link.
I knew Kenny, the guy who died in every episode. He was
Yeah.
a neighbor kid up the street. He lived up a couple houses. My mom and his mom were good friends.
Oh
my
my
mom used to
God.
babysit him and stuff like that. Yeah. So he's a
Holy
real dude.
shit. Chris wants to know if Matt Stone was from Aurora.
Yeah, I think so. And they both met up. They went to CU Boulder together. Like that's how they became business partners. Now they own Casa Bonita. They own they bought out
Really?
Casa Bonita and
Holy
they're renovating
shit.
it now.
God damn. They've got enough money, I'm sure.
It's funny. Hey,
Well,
why
hopefully
not?
they make the food better because that place is a total shithole.
I've never eaten at one. I wouldn't even know about it if it wasn't for South Park.
Yeah, oh man, it was like the go-to place when we were kids. You go there, the food was like just a level above microwavable dinner. But they had these they had cliff divers and stuff like that, and then they had this like Black Bart's Cave thing for kids to go through. It was fun, But the food was awful, so bad. Hopefully they
Jesus
fix that.
Christ. Robert, you alive?
Yes, I am. I actually, there's some important stuff being discussed, so I just was letting people talk because we've got some people on that aren't normally on a fireside chat, so I wanted to give Paul all the time I could to let him talk instead of me just interjecting with nonsense.
That's right.
Now,
That's what
please
we're here for.
interject. I don't have a lot to talk about.
That's what we're here for, is nonsense.
Gotta riff off of each other.
Correct, yes. As long as you're not going off on a 40-minute rant like Drew does.
I will rein the rants in and keep them short and make sure
And
not
it's
to-
You
always
can
like in the
rant. I
last
have no
5
problem
minutes
with
of the
rants. Just,
show.
keep the rant. Be self-aware and keep the rant short.
gotta work on that.
I think this is the first time that you and I have ever talked, Drew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Drew.
Nice
meet
to
Paul,
virtually
Paul
meet
meets
you.
Drew.
likewise.
Someone asked me, I put out a tweet the other day and said, "Hey, who should I have on the podcast?" And they're like, "Oh, have you ever had Drew on?" I was like, "No, actually,
You
I've
should.
never even talked to him." So
You'll have like a 3-hour broadcast and it'll be fun. All good stuff. All good stuff.
Go off on lots of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Drew does his his chats like he does his dumbbell workouts. Very
Very
slow and deliberate.
Slow and long.
So it'll take you about 3 times as long, but you're going to get 10 times more out of it. So.
well, I carefully consider my words, and a lot of times if I'm there I go on a rant. If I am talking about something, I take my time.
I'm glad you're catching yourself. We're training you well.
I do take my time though, because I'm used to speaking, with a group of people and allowing them to be able to interject questions and whatnot, and also so that everybody understands what I'm saying. But I need to get to the point more quickly and not repeat things as much on video, because it's not like a live audience where you tell them what you're going to tell them. you tell them and you explain things and then you summarize because it's all there in the fucking
don't
video.
tell
You
them
don't
what
have to
you
say-
don't. I don't like that either. Is like someone who's going to spend 10 minutes telling you what they're going to tell you.
No, just
Like,
get to the
that's
fucking
not-
point in the
just,
video.
Just come out and start talking.
Drew is not miserly with his syllables. We should just put it that way.
And Nick
He's
would
very
know.
generous.
Nick is a.
I'm
Nick is an
working
old
on it though.
school-
Got,
there you go. Nick is an
writing,
old
speaking, all
school
that.
English school teacher.
I will say that, like the only person I've listened to for workout advice is Drew in the last
Correct.
couple of years. I bought some of his products, and
Well, thank you.
you know, it's also, you know, I had a really good trainer back when I was in college, and
That was like what 1869.
yeah, about that. It was
Yeah, I
well, I
think
mean,
so.
it was after the Civil War,
Oh, after. Okay, so you weren't sharpshooting or anything. Okay.
after the War of Northern Aggression.
You weren't hard eating anything.
not by then.
Okay.
But you know, a lot of the stuff that Drew talks about now that nobody else talks about at all, like the very slow, deliberate reps and stuff like that. That's what they were teaching me back in 87, 88.
Oh yeah.
And it was a lot more common to hear back then. And right now, Drew, I know there are other people who talk about that, but Drew's really the only one that I ever hear.
Well, so between you, Nick, and Drew, can you answer this question? What the fuck happened?
I wouldn't know. That would be for Drew.
Yeah, what?
What happened? With
Why did the exercise crowd, if you will, get away from that your technique?
They never really got into it.
Oh, okay.
So you have a whole bunch of bullshit that is really popular and has consistently been popular since maybe the late 50s, early 60s. And this is your mainstream bullshit, and it's mostly bullshit. And it's pretty consistent. And then in addition to the mainstream bullshit, you have other things which vary from complete bullshit to actual sensible training that will come in and out of fashion on the fringes of this, just almost cyclically. And some things that happen to make sense will come back around periodically because people are looking for something different
Another trend
to market rather than because they actually understand it. Like right now, what used to in the 70s be known as high intensity training is seeing another resurgence. So there was big increase in popularity in the 70s because of Nautilus. And then again, like later 90s, and then now, and you've got some people who have been doing and teaching this all along. And then you have other people who will jump on the bandwagon when it becomes popular, and they don't understand it. They know very little. They understand even less, and they assume all sorts of things that are not just wrong, but completely backwards. But it's the popular thing now, so they're going to jump on it. And so we're starting to see this again. And in a year or two, it'll be some other thing, which may be complete bullshit or partially bullshit or in between. So Nick might have worked with somebody who was actually knowledgeable and was doing it because they understood it. Or it could have been somebody who said, well, this is in right now, so I'm going to do this. But unfortunately, what is correct is usually not what is the most popular, because correct exercise doesn't make for sexy, exciting YouTube and Instagram videos, and it's not fun. It is very, very hard work, and most people do not want to work very hard.
Yeah, in my case,
Hmm.
I had a friend in college who was the son of the college's football team's head trainer. Well, I mean, I think he was like head trainer for everybody kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly what his title was, but you know, it was all, you know, he was the one who kind of coached us in weightlifting and stuff. And he was, I mean, that's the one thing that I remember the most is he was always about slow, deliberate reps and a lot of that, a lot of that other stuff that you talk about, Drew.
There are still a lot of strength and conditioning coaches that know better and that do that. Unfortunately, the vast majority promote all this silly NSCA explosive training bullshit and plyometrics and the Olympic lifts and all this other dumb shit. But yeah, there's some strength and conditioning coaches in the college level and the professional level that still know what they're doing. Fortunately, they're the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah.
So, as someone that's not very familiar with like what you teach, I mean, what do you teach that's different than that?
Holy shit!
Let's give us the Cliff's Notes. We only have 20 minutes.
So the super short version is that only correctly performed strengthening activity technically qualifies as exercise. Nothing else is exercise. Nothing else is even worth doing for exercise. And this is one of the biggest things where everybody else is completely wrong.
Retard.
Trying to think of the shortest way. So what are we trying to do with exercise? We are trying to improve the function of the human body, your ability to perform physical activities, and as a consequence of that, improve various aspects of health. So to determine how to exercise, we have to identify the factors of functional ability, your ability to perform physical activities. And we have some genetic factors that are non-trainable. We have to know what they are, but they're irrelevant. They're non-trainable. We can't improve them through exercise. Then we have trainable factors, which are general. If you train them, if you improve them, they apply to everything you do. And then we have another factor, skill, which is specific. Practicing and exercise doesn't improve your skill in anything else. So skill is specific. It's not transferable, so we don't worry about that. So we boil it down to what are the trainable general factors of functional ability. Your muscular strength, local muscular endurance, metabolic and cardiovascular efficiency, bone and connective tissue strength, flexibility, and body composition. Every other thing that people think of as a quality or factor of fitness, things like agility and speed, and that's just different combinations of these. Mobility is just strength and flexibility and body composition. Anything else people can come is down to these. Now, strength is the most important because it is the only directly productive. Your muscles produce the force that controls the position of your body and allows you to move. Your bones and connective tissue just transmit the force. They act as a structure for your bones or for your muscles to move your body with. They're like the transmission. Cardiovascular and metabolic efficiency don't do anything. They support the muscles in performing their function. Flexibility doesn't do anything. It permits the muscles to move your body through some range of motion. Your body composition, a lot of people think about fatness as an appearance issue. It is also an issue of functional ability because it affects range of motion. It affects the weight of your body and the effort required to move it. It affects your center of gravity. It affects all sorts of things. If we want to get at any of these other things, we have to go through your muscles. If we want to improve your cardiovascular system, or more specifically, stimulate your body to produce improvements in cardiovascular system, you can't pull your heart and vessels out and throw them on a cycle or a treadmill and have them do anything. We place a demand on the cardiovascular system by performing muscular work. We can't pull your bones and connective tissues out and stress them separate of your muscles. When you contract your muscles, the forces are transmitted through those tissues, et cetera, et cetera. If we want to get at anything, we have to go through the muscles. So we start with, what do we need to do with the muscles? Your muscles' primary function is to produce force. Movement is a consequence of force. A lot of people ask, what do your muscles do? Your muscles move your body. No, they produce force. The force can be used to move your body, or it can be used to prevent your body from moving, like holding a posture or picking something up and holding it motionless. If we want to stimulate your body to produce an improvement in its ability, or your muscles' ability to produce force, we have to challenge your muscles' ability to produce force. And we do that by, and this, I'll wrap this up quick, by contracting the muscles against sufficient resistance, an external force that we contract against, to very deeply fatigue your muscles within a relatively short time, within about 1 to 2 minutes. If you fatigue your muscles so deeply in a short time, reducing the force that they can produce, this is a threat to your body. Anything that compromises your ability, even momentarily, to move threatens your survival. If you can't move, you can't obtain food. You can't avoid predation, being something else's food. You can't fuck. You cannot protect and provide for any offspring that you might have. Everything that your genes care about comes down to your ability to move. It's a serious threat to your body if you deeply fatigue your muscles and compromise that. So your body responds to this by producing an increase in your strength, so that the next time you encounter the same stress or whatever in your environment caused it, you have extra strength and reserve. You can continue to move after that. And that's where we start. Everything starts with the muscles. And when you place a demand on the muscles correctly, you place a tremendous demand on the cardiovascular system, on your bones, your connective tissues, everything. I know a lot of people are real skeptical, but well, how can strength training provide cardiovascular benefits? It's because they don't do it correctly. They don't do it in a way that is nearly demanding enough to also provide these benefits. But super short version, if you are working your muscles as hard as you should be and performing exercises for a sufficient duration, you're going to create as much metabolic demand as you would doing any other activity, including the kind of sprint interval, high intensity interval training people are doing. And as long as you are moving from one exercise to the next as quickly as your conditioning allows, not stopping and sitting around twiddling your thumbs on your phone for 3-4 minutes between exercises, but as soon as you finish an exercise, you go to the next, you start it right away.
Yep.
As long as you're not getting lightheaded, dizzy, nauseated,
that's your cardio.
Or if you feel like you're going to pass out. And if you're not feeling these things, at least a little bit, you're not moving. You're not working hard enough, and you're resting too long between exercises.
They call that a circuit training? Is that?
That's how they would refer to it. Most people don't do it correctly, though. It's not enough that you move quickly between exercises. The exercises have to be performed correctly. And one last thing, 30 seconds and I'm done. Go to the gym and watch people perform exercises, and you'll see people moving like this.
Yeah, they're slamming the fucking weight up and down.
They're focusing on making the weights move instead of taking their time and focusing on using the weight to efficiently load and fatigue the muscles. Most people's sets take 15 to 20 seconds. And it's way too short, and they don't go anywhere near working as hard as they ought to. A single correctly performed repetition should take longer than most people's entire sets. If you're doing a set that lasts between 60 and 90 seconds, or maybe out to maybe 2 minutes or so for some exercises, and
you only need one set.
That's it. Because that one set, in terms of the effort over time, is more demanding than most people's 3 to 5 sets or more. So that's
a whole like one set to failure idea, right?
One set to failure, but it's not one set to failure the way most people's sets are short, sloppy, shitty, inefficient affairs. It's one correctly performed set to failure.
Okay.
Yeah, most people's sets suck, and that's why they're so skeptical. They hear one set to failure, they think that they're doing their sets correctly. Their sets suck. That's why they think that they need to do more.
What's the proper cadence time? The load time.
So here's the thing with cadence. There's a broad range that is going to be effective and safe. And that's the other thing. It's not enough that it's effective. It also has to be safe. We want to improve the function of the human body, which means that we don't want to do anything that's going to undermine that, either in the short term by producing an acute injury, or in the long run with subacute injuries, developing joint and spine conditions. As a general rule, you should move slowly enough during exercise that you are able to minimize acceleration when you start and when you reverse direction. Slowly enough that you are able to maintain very strict control over your body's positioning and your path and your range of motion throughout the entire exercise, start to finish. You should be able to instantly stop at any time and in any position in an exercise and hold perfectly motionless. If you can't do that, you're going too fast. And you want to go slowly because as you're performing the exercise, the goal isn't to make the weight go up and down. It's a means to an end. You are using the resistance provided by the weight, the force that you contract against, to fatigue the target muscles. As you're performing the movement, you want to try to do so in a way that maintains relatively consistent tension on the targeted muscle groups without irritating your joints or any other tissues. When you're moving more slowly, you can feel what is happening in the muscles and the other tissues and be able to make adjustments as necessary to keep them under tension and to avoid irritation. If you're just swinging the weights up and down, you can't do that as well. It's less efficient. It's less safe. Minimally, I'd recommend about 5-5. Most people, if they attempt to move faster than that, about 5 seconds to lift, 5 seconds to lower, their form is shit by my standards.
Okay.
Or at least starts to get poor. You don't.
What about static holding?
Static holds are effective if they are performed in the correct position and using a weight that allows for at least about 60 to 90 seconds.
All right, so let's say for like one like a hammer strength bench press. What would a good static hold be on that position of the hammer strength machine?
With a compound pushing exercise, you would want to lift the weight to about the middle of your range of motion.
Okay. You
don't want to be out here. If you've ever done a leg press or a bench press or a squat, you know that as your elbows or knees approach full extension, it gets easier. See, people load up the leg press and they do these short little stuff, or people load up the barbell for a squat and they go down like this far. That's because the lever against the target. Yeah, they are dumbasses. It's stupid. It's a stupid thing. In fact, if you leg press, if you squat properly, you avoid the top of the range of motion. With a barbell squat, again, the goal isn't to lift as much weight as possible. You're trying to imagine this. You take a barbell, you unrack it, and you lower yourself as low as you can go while keeping your feet on the floor, your back flat, and without sitting on your calves. Your hamstrings should touch your calves. If they're not, you're not going low enough, but you don't want to sit on them and rest. Then you very slowly reverse direction, but you only come back up until you're maybe about a quarter to a third of the way from the top. And then without stopping, you just slowly reverse direction. How much harder that would be compared to the way most people squat. They don't even go all the way down. They use too much weight and they avoid the hardest bottom part of the range of motion because they're trying to show off how much weight they can lift. When what they should be doing is trying to make the exercise as challenging as possible so that they require as little weight as necessary to achieve momentary muscle failure within, again, about 1 to 2 minutes. But most people, that's a minute to 60 or 90 seconds or so is about as good starting point for most.
Okay, so basically you're spending a minimal amount of time with the proper load and fatigue on each machine and then moving to the next one with the minimal amount of time in between each one.
Yeah, move slowly during exercises, but quickly between them. Take a minute to 2 minutes of continuous effort, no pausing, no doing a rep and then resting. Continuous effort to perform the exercises, but then a few seconds to move from one to the next instead of doing the exercise for a few seconds and then resting for several minutes. So basically, whatever you see everybody else in the gym doing,
don't do that.
Chances are, it's completely wrong. And if you do the opposite of what you see most other people in the gym doing, you might not be doing everything right, but you're going to be doing a whole lot more things right than everybody else. Watch the personal trainers in the gyms. Take a notepad, write down everything that they do, everything they have their clients do, and then do the exact opposite, because most of them have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
That's funny.
How long would you say is like a typical workout? Like how long, like total workout for a typical client?
20, 25 minutes, depending on the person. If I'm working out at home, I can complete a workout in under 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
And that's with also quick moving the camera in between, because I record it for the private group. If I tried to do the same thing in a gym, it might take me 30 to 40, because I end up waiting for some dumb kids sitting on the
Some douchebags on the
twiddling, or a bunch of gym bros that are get 5 of them standing around a piece of equipment and just wasting their time. So it depends on whether you're in an environment where you are able to use the equipment as quickly as you should be.
Sure.
But typical workout, depending on the person, might involve anywhere from as few as 3 or 4 exercises, one set, 3 or 4 exercises, the real low end, to at most maybe 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing more than that, then you're not working hard enough. If you're working as hard as you should be, that's about as much as you can stand. And the average duration, again, you're looking at, for most cases, maybe about 70 to 80 seconds. If you're going from, again, I say 60 to 90 seconds, but then once you get to momentary muscle failure, you keep contracting for a few seconds just to make sure, and then you take your time lowering the weight. So let's say 60 to 100 seconds per exercise. So about 70 to 80 seconds average. Let's say 75, let's say a minute and a quarter. And let's say you're taking maybe 15 seconds to move from one exercise to the next, if you can get it set up quickly.
I think Nick is stroking out over here.
So let's say a minute and a half per exercise to 2 minutes. So if you're doing, let's say in between, let's say 8 exercises, you're looking at maybe 15, 16 minutes. It takes me a little bit longer, closer to 20, because although the equipment, I can set up all the equipment in advance, I'm recording and I'm moving the camera around in between. But so ideally under 20 minutes in a typical gym situation where you have to wait for equipment, realistically 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the time of day and how busy it is. Okay. If you're in the gym longer than that, you're either doing more exercises than you need to, you're wasting your time on extra sets, or you're fucking around too much instead of actually exercising.
There's a lot of fucking around in mainstream gyms.
It's mostly fucking. And I need to point this out. Here's the thing. If you value the results above all, if the only thing that you care about is getting the best possible results from exercise, you don't need to do very much, and you don't need to do it very often. 20 to 30 minutes, longer if you're waiting, once or twice a week.
Now, when you say once or twice a week, is that for someone just starting out or someone who's been doing it for a while?
This is the other thing. A lot of people get completely backwards. The assumption is that when you're a beginner, you don't do as much, and then you need more volume and frequency as you become more advanced. The opposite is true. When you are a beginner, you benefit from not doing longer workouts, but exercising more frequently, because when you are learning how to exercise, one, you benefit from the more frequent practice because you are still becoming proficient at exercising. Assuming you're taught correctly, a lot of people assume that you take a barbell and you pick it up and you put it down. They have no idea how much more there is to doing it really well. I could spend probably an hour going over the fine details of performance of any particular exercise if you want to do it as well as possible. Think of a tennis swing. You take a fucking racket and you swing it. It seems like a simple thing, but if you take somebody who's an expert tennis instructor or a golf instructor, if I see a golf, I don't know how to you take the fucking club and you swing it. A golf instructor is going to sit down and say, no, this is how you stand. This is how you grip it. These are all, and they could probably go over all these details. Exercises like that. You got all these I shouldn't say dumbasses. People don't know any better. They have no idea how much they don't know, or how much of what they believe they know is just wrong. If you really want to do this stuff well, you need to learn to do it correctly, and then you need to practice, and you need to practice with the correct mindset. Focus on efficient inroading, loading and inroading, deeply fatiguing the muscles, not making the weights go up and down. So initially you benefit from more practice. Also, when you're starting out, you aren't capable of pushing yourself as hard and you don't have as much muscle. The more muscle you add, the more tissue is being stressed during exercise, the greater the demands on the rest of your body, and the more energy and resources required to recover from the larger amount of stress because more tissue is being worked, the longer that ends up taking.
Yeah.
The more experienced you become, the harder you are capable of training, and the more muscle mass you have, the more stress you're able to put on the rest of the body with that. The less frequently you should work out, you need more time to be able to recover and adapt, and the shorter your workouts need to get. And think about this. Imagine performing a really hard set of wrist curls, and then compare that to performing a really hard set of squats. You might work your forearms until they feel like they're on fire, like somebody's taking a blowtorch to them, but you're not really going to wipe yourself out doing that. Now, if you perform a set of barbell squats or leg press to failure, same thing in the muscles, they're going to feel like somebody's taken a torch to them, but you're also going to be very deeply fatigued. If you do a barbell squat correctly, it'll wipe you out. Your forearms are a small muscle group. Your thighs and your glutes and your back, that's a lot more muscle. If you become more muscular, the exercises become more demanding because there's more tissue that is being stressed in the process. And it's more tissue that is using energy, creating waste. It's a greater demand in the cardiovascular system as well. Everything gets harder the better you get at the exercise. So the more advanced a trainee is, the less exercise they should do during their workouts, because every exercise they do is a lot more stressful, and the more time they should give themselves to recover. Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody else, almost everybody else gets it completely backwards.
Okay.
This is fascinating. I gotta get you on the podcast. We gotta dive into this.
Absolutely. Cool. You guys DM each other, you homos.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'll hit you up on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we're gonna call for tonight. Thank you, Drew, for actually taking the time out to explain that to us. That was good.
After I promised not to go on a rant.
No. Wait, that rant is fine.
We knew that's a promise you couldn't keep, man.
No, that rant is fine.
We'll stick to appropriate topics.
Yes. Exercise rants that's not really a rant so much as an explanation. You're teaching, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Speaking of teaching, you got to talk to us about writing one of these, because that would be. I'm working on it.
Well, both Nick and I can do like a writing thing. I mean,
that would be awesome.
We can totally do that.
I'm outlining.
Nick can. We're both writers, but Nick can speak more, especially with the editing and the actual sentence structure and the flow, the ebb and flow of proper dialogue. Nick is your man, obviously.
Awesome. And I need the dialogue.
If any of you people paid close attention to my output, you know that I just posted a new article on writing yesterday.
I don't pay attention to you. Actually.
And yet none of you.
I follow you on Twitter, but I don't get all the stuff.
You post so much bullshit. It's hard to weed through. It's hard to pull out the gems.
Yeah. Exactly.
I need to go and check.
You gotta stop that shit. You have to come up with a Twitter that's nothing but like really good writing and editing shit. Like do that shit. Do that shit on your own time on Punch Riot, motherfucker.
I can't take that. I can't take it that seriously yet. But maybe someday.
I can't take it. Drink your sparkling water, you homo. That's right. Cool. But yeah, I think we should do another writer roundtable soon. We'll definitely do that.
I will actually sit down and get something started before then. I've got loose sentence fragments and loose outlines. And it's mostly just a list of cool things that I want to happen in a story that I'm trying to figure out how to link together. so that it makes sense and it's not
Yeah.
just the.
Can
the
you guys do an
vagueness.
episode on how to make time to write? Like, because that's my problem.
Well, Nick
would-
and I
Do you
are
need
petitioning
an episode
Congress.
on how to use toilet paper too?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I mean, how to make time to write? What the fuck is that?
Well, take
You
something.
just make
take,
time and write.
What? You just do that, right?
You
all
just
right,
be good
make
at
the
that,
best.
right?
Make the best. The only one that wanted a masculine geek coloring book was yourself. So how about you do that for us, and we'll pay you. we'll split the royalties. You son of a bitch. It would be kind of cool though. A masculine geek, like a fucking like with Rob, like a little Rob, like you got to color him in. The beard is white, so you have to get a white crayon. But yeah,
And you can't because Bullrush ate them all. That's his
Bullrush ate 'em
favorite
all.
Flavor, white.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be making people razors, and he bitched out on that. So,
He likes the white ones and the metallic ones.
well, there's reasons for that, but we won't go into it.
Swell. Yeah, swell.
Yeah, swell. All right, everyone. So, in painting with what? With warning. Well, yeah, we're gonna do another painting stream with Rollo and Robert soon in June. I have to get some dates on the list. I'll let you guys know that. So, all right, cool. Well, since Drew, you were talking about exercise, where can everyone find you and your hit list?
Bay.com. BAYE.com.
Okay, fantastic. Nick, where can everyone find you and your excellent writing and editing skills?
If they want to find me bad enough, they will. You know, fuck them.
That's a.
I don't help anybody. I'm not here to help.
That's true. You really don't.
That's right.
That is very true. Paul, how about yourself?
You guys can find my podcast on all major podcast platforms. It's the Come On Man podcast. And if you go to comeonmanpod.com, there's some links to my stuff.
Sweet. Last but not least, Robert, how about yourself?
Robert Kuzland on Twitter and Instagram, and then here with the Masculine Geek.
Fantastic. All right, so in the pipeline for next Wednesday will be Drew's campaign. He shall be ready by then. And then we'll see what's going on for the painting and Rollo's game and any other guests we have for June. So keep an eye out. Make sure you head over to the Masculine Geek Twitter page.
Rollo, you mean Tomasi?
Yeah.
The guy that thinks young men should have their balls cut off. You associate with that guy?
When is he advocating for balls being cut off?
Oh, he's a major advocate for castration. He talks about it all the time.
Oh, okay. I don't pay attention to that shit. All I know is that he's both he and Drew are amazing dungeon masters. So,
okay.
If you want to continue with your balls being chopped off, please, follow that thread.
Go DM Rollo about
Go DM Rollo if
castration.
you want your balls cut off. Apparently, yeah, it's just disgusting. And on that note. Aaron Claire is gay. I didn't end the broadcast. We're still live.
I like that subliminal message you threw in there.
You like that? I do those a lot. We're still live, by the way. So everyone, later.